Season of the Haunted is soon coming to a close, and while the story may have finished, you may have gotten all the loot that you want, one objective may remain, and that is finishing up the seasonal title. Well, today I'm going to run through all the triumphs for the Reaper title, so you can proudly show off all your achievements in Season of the Haunted. Well, if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content, and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. Roughly 98% of viewers who watch This Week in Video Games aren't subscribed, so subscribe today and never miss an update. Well, the Reaper title and its triumphs is going to take you all over the content for Season of the Haunted. You're going to be doing nightmare containment, sever missions, finding secrets and defeating bosses. And if you want to, once completed, you can pick up the IRL seal from the Bungie store. Yeah, personally, I've started collecting these over the past few seasons, and it is a real highlight for me. And without further delay, let's dive into the requirements for the Season of the Haunted seal. Well, first up, we have Severance, so complete all 7 steps of the Bound in Sorrow mission. This triumph is nice and easy, simply complete the story content for the season. You do that by visiting the Crown of Sorrow and the Helm, plus also the Nightmare Containment and the Sever activities. Well, next up, we got the vendor upgrades unlocked. So here you need to unlock 18 upgrades for the Crown of Sorrow, and you get various upgrade materials throughout the season, but they can mainly be found on the seasonal challenges. Just look through the weeks 1 to 10, and you'll notice the materials that you need to collect. So once you've got those materials, head to the Crown of Sorrow, and then you can buy those upgrades. Well, next up, we've got the triumph called Tritainment, so successfully defeat each Tier 3 Nightmare Containment boss. So Elchris the Machinist, Anafex Sworn to Otzot, and Navota Ear Spawn. This one is another straightforward triumph. Simply defeat all the different variations of the bosses for the Nightmare Containment activity. Well, next up we got Harvester of Sorrows. So bind nightmares after completing Tier 3 Nightmare Containment activities. For this one, you want to complete the Nightmare Containment activity. Then you want to make sure that you interact with the Harvester, that is the object behind the loot chest, to bind that nightmare. And you are going to need to do this 50 times, so do be prepared to spend a whole bunch of time in Nightmare Containment. So one little tip though, I have found if you quit out and load back into the Derelict Leviathan, you can sometimes randomize where you will appear in a Nightmare Containment. So for example, if you are right at the beginning, then you quit out and you load in again, you could find yourself in the middle of a Tier 2 activity Nightmare Containment, and that is going to shave off a whole bunch of time for you in this triumph. Well, next up, we've got Malicious Haunt, so defeat combatants and guardians with Season of the Haunted weapons. The defeated guardians grant additional progress, so for this one, you simply want to equip yourself with Season of the Haunted weapons, and then go and get loads of kills. So what I did for this one is just make sure I had one in my kinetic slot, one in my energy slot, one in my power slot. So I didn't use the opulence weapons, I was only using the seasonal weapons, and then just go in there and complete that Nightmare Containment activity or the Sever activities, and eventually you will get enough kills to complete the triumph. Well, next up we have Reaper's Blade, so defeat combatants on the Derelict Leviathan with the Scythe. So during the Nightmare Containment activity, make sure you're picking up that Scythe and using it, as this is going to help you complete that triumph. So while you're doing those 50 Nightmare Containment activities for the Harvester of Sorrows, make sure you're picking up that Scythe, killing enemies along the way. The worst thing would be to get to the end of those 50 Nightmare Containments and then have to jump back in there once again. So make sure you're picking up that Scythe and killing enemies while you're doing the other triumphs. Well, next up we have Opulent Avarice, so open lock chests with opulent keys on the Derelict Leviathan. So for this one, you want to get opulent keys either from the end of the Nightmare Containment activity or from random chests that you open up. So remember, you can only carry one opulent key at a time, so if you've got one in your inventory, try to use it immediately, as you'll then be able to pick up another one. If you keep hold of your opulent key, then no more are going to drop for you. Well, next up we've got Hear, Don't Heed. So in Sever activities, you find and listen to all 6 of Callus's automatons, and there are 6 automatons in the Sever mission. I do have a guide on where to find them, so you can check out the full guide here. Well, next up we've got Number 1 Fans, so collect all of the dignified effigies of Callus aboard the Derelict Leviathan and proudly display them in the helm. So again, you are going to have to find these all over the place. It's in the Nightmare Containment. They are also in the Sever activities, I've got a full guide on how to find them all here. Well, next up we have a triumph called Shadow's Return. So for this one, you have to complete 12 other triumphs. So this one is all about defeating specific enemies on the Derelict Leviathan, and they are loyalist threats, powerful nightmares, and various individual bosses. Well, first of all, we've got Fever Dream. So these are powerful nightmares in the haunted alcoves on the Leviathan. So you need to kill them and claim the triumph. So we've got 4 here. So first of all, we've got Sporest of Beasts. So clear the haunted alcove by the resting hounds. Kill the Nightmare of Karun, the Beastmaster. So you can complete the Sporest of Beasts in the Pleasure Garden. So find the large statue of Callus and go in the hole at his feet. Inside there are some war beasts, and kill them to summon the Nightmare of Karun, the Beastmaster. Well, second of all here, for Fever Dream, we've got Nightmare Breached. So clear the haunted alcove opposite Callus by killing Nightmares of Karat-Lok, the Sword, and Harlock, the Shield. So these 2 enemies, they're also found in the Pleasure Gardens just to the left of the stairs. So go up the rocks and look for a small hole in the wall that leads to a room, and then defeat the Scorn until Karat-Lok and Harlock, the bosses, spawn, and then simply kill them. Well, next up we've got Drainage. So clear the haunted alcove connected to an old unused passage by killing the Nightmare of Kralek, the Sniper. So this one can be completed in the Royal Pools. So to find the boss Kralek, the Sniper, go in the Royal Pools and go up to the right area. Right at the back there's a hole in the ground. Jump down in the hole and defeat all of the enemies. So don't worry if you jump down there and the enemies aren't there, just go back out again and come back in. The enemies aren't going to be there the whole time. Sometimes you have to wait around a little bit, but they are down that hole. And just wait around until the enemies spawn, and then you'll find Kralek. And finally we have Ritual Under Shadow. So clear the haunted alcove passageway containing the Nightmare of Syad, the Unending. So this one can be completed in the Royal Pools. So go to the back of the Royal Pools area and enter the door on the left. Light the 3 torches on the ground, then you've got a boss who will appear, defeat all the nightmares and also the boss too. Well, the second part of the triumph is as follows. So we've got a Guardian is a Guardian even in a nightmare. So he needs to defeat Callus loyalist forces aboard the Derelict Leviathan and claim the associated triumphs. So again, we've got a few triumphs here. We've got 5 here. So first of all, Exile Ended, to defeat a loyalist commander and release its prisoner. So this one is in the Pleasure Gardens. A prisoner is in a solar dome. So watch out for that dome and then defeat the guard to release that prisoner. Well, next up we've got Battle Line. So defeat a loyalist force defending their territory and bring down that loyalist sentinel commander. So the Battle Line's triumph can be completed in the Royal Pools and also the Pleasure Gardens. So you must kill the boss called a loyalist sentinel commander. So look out for that on-screen text. The loyalist sentinels have fortified a position. Search the area for a large solar dome shield. Go inside, defeat all the enemies and destroy the shield generator, and repeat it for the next 2 shield areas. And once all 3 solar shields have been destroyed, you're then going to be able to defeat the boss that is the loyalist sentinel commander, and then that triumph is complete. Well, next up we've got Shared Fears. To defeat Sekik, Seeker of the Deep, linked by an old bond of war. So check out the Royal Pools area and wait for the text on screen that says 3 powerful nightmares haunt the Leviathan, and then find each of the powerful nightmares around the edge of the area, defeat them all, then the boss is going to spawn in the middle, defeat him, and that is the triumph complete. Then you've got one called Get To, taking out their commanders one by one. So on the Derelict Leviathan, defeat Nightmare Kylex, the Docked, and the Nightmare of Evox, the Burned, within the Royal Pools. These enemies spawn as high value targets, so while you're in the Royal Pools area, keep an eye out for the text saying one has spawned, then kill them, and then you'll finish up that triumph. Well, finally, we have Controlled Burn. So on the Derelict Leviathan, defeat the Nightmare of Tazlek, Fed to the Beasts, and the Nightmare of Aurok, Spinebreaker, roaming within the Pleasure Garden. So these enemies spawn as high-value targets again. So when you are in the Pleasure Gardens, to keep an eye out for the text saying that one has spawned, then kill those high-value targets. Make sure you get some bullets on them, because sometimes people can steal your kills here. So get some bullets on them, kill those high-value targets, and that is Controlled Burn complete. Well, with all of that complete, congratulations! You now have the Reaper title, so you can proudly wear it and show off your Season of the Haunted skills. And also, remember, you can go to the Bungie store and buy that IRL pin. Well, let me know what you think in the comments of the Haunted title, and what did you think of Season of the Haunted? Well, that is it for this guide for how to get the Reaper title in Season of the Haunted. And as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Well, thanks again. I'll see you soon.